Let me tell you about a number that will make you angry. $500,000. $500,000 in cash stocks, CSAs, RRSPs, no house involved. Now, if I asked you on the street, hey, does $500,000 make you rich? You'd probably laugh. Of course you'd say, that's life-changing money. That's early retirement. That's I don't have to check my bank account before filling up the gas tank money. But here is the uncomfortable truth that no headline will ever tell you. There are hundreds of thousands of Canadians right now who have over $500,000 in pure, liquid, investable assets, and they do not feel rich. Not even a little bit. They drive a 5-year-old Honda. They clip grocery coupons. They worry about their kid's daycare bill. They lose sleep over a $900 car repair, $500,000, and they feel average. Today, we are going to do something strange. We are not going to talk about millionaires. We are going to talk about the quiet, invisible group directly beneath them, the $500,000 Canadians. Because once you understand why they don't feel rich, you will finally understand what wealth actually looks like in this country. And more importantly, how to build it without ever feeling like you've made it. Let's start with the number everyone ignores. According to the latest data from Statistics Canada and the Survey of Financial Security, roughly 4 million Canadian households have between $500,000 and $1 million in financial assets. Not net worth, not home equity, financial assets. Cash, GICs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, TFSA, RRSP, non-registered accounts. 4 million households. That is almost 1 in 10 households in the entire country. If you include individuals with registered accounts over $500K, the number climbs closer to 2 million people. These are not Bay Street hedge fund managers. These are your neighbors, your accountant, the couple down the street who never orders appetizers. And yet, and this is the part that will break your brain, most of them do not feel wealthy. A 2024 survey by FP Canada found that nearly 60% of Canadians with investable assets over $500,000 described their financial situation as comfortable but not rich. Some even said worried. Let that sink in. $500,000 in liquid assets, and they are worried. So what is going on? The answer is simple, brutal, and completely invisible to anyone who has not run the numbers themselves. $500,000 sounds like a fortune until you divide it by the rest of your life. Let's do the math together. Do not skip this part. Imagine you are 55 years old. You have worked for 3 decades, you have saved diligently, and today you have exactly $520,000 in your RSP and TFSA combined. No pension, no inheritance coming. If you retire at 65, that money needs to last you 20 to 30 years. Using the famous 4% withdrawal rule, which is already considered optimistic, you can safely withdraw about $2,800 per year. That is $1,733 per month from your entire life savings. Add CPP and OAS, maybe $1,500 more per month. Combined, you are looking at roughly $3,500 per month before tax. Now ask yourself, does that feel rich to you? Because rent in Toronto, Vancouver, or even Halifax is $2,200 for a 1-bedroom. Groceries for 2 people are $800. Car insurance, gas, internet, phone, a single prescription, you are already over. That is the dirty secret of $500,000. It is not wealth. It is a very thin life raft in very cold water. And most Canadians have not done this math. They see $500,000 and they imagine a boat. In reality, it buys you the right to stop working if you are willing to live like a university student for the rest of your life. But here is where it gets even stranger. When you ask these same people, the ones with $500K but no house, how they feel about their neighbors who own a $1, $3 million detached home with $200,000 in the bank, they feel poor, even though the homeowner is, by many definitions, broke. This brings us to the most dangerous illusion in Canadian personal finance, and it is not what you think. The illusion is not that your house is an investment. The illusion is that a large number in any single account equals safety. Let me introduce you to someone. I will call her Michelle. She does not exist, but I have met her 100 times. Michelle is 48 years old. She lives in a townhouse in Oakville that she bought in 2012 for $480,000. Today it is worth $980,000. She has $190,000 left on her mortgage. On paper, her net worth is just over $1, $2 million, house equity plus some saving. But here is her real life. Her TFSA has $14,000. Her RRSP has $67,000. The rest is her house. She works as a dental hygienist. Her husband installs HVAC systems. Their combined income is $148,000 before tax. Last month, her furnace died $5,800. Her car needed new tires $100. Her property tax bill went up 7%. She told me she lies awake at 3 a.m. wondering how she will pay for her daughter's last year of university. Now meet David. David is 52. He rents a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Burnaby for $2,400 a month. He has no car. He has no house. He has never owned real estate. But he has $510,000 in his RRSP and TFSA, all in low-cost index funds and a few dividend stocks. He makes $85,000 a year as a project coordinator for a construction firm. David does not feel rich either. He worries about rent increases. He worries about being priced out forever. He watches his friends buy houses and feels like he is falling behind. But here is the difference. David's wealth is not locked inside walls. He can move it, he can spend it, he can leave the country with it. And most importantly, he can generate income from it without selling his home. If David needed $30,000 tomorrow for an emergency, he could sell some ETFs and have the cash in 3 business days. If Michelle needed $30,000 tomorrow, she would have to take out a home equity line of credit at 5% interest, or sell her house and live in a car. That is the hidden chasm in Canadian wealth, and it is getting wider every single year. Let us look at the national numbers because the data is genuinely shocking. According to Statistics Canada's latest national balance sheet, Canadian households hold over $11 trillion in financial assets. But here is the catch. More than 40% of that is locked inside pensions that people cannot touch until 65. And of the remaining financial assets, nearly 2/3 are concentrated in the top 20% of households. The median Canadian household has just $35,000 in their TFSA, not $500,000, not $200,000, $35,000. The median RRSP for households under 55 is under $60,000. So when I say there are 2 million Canadians with 500,000 plus in liquid assets, they are not evenly distributed. They are the quiet top, the silent upper middle, and they are terrified of being exposed. Because if you have 500K, you are rich enough to lose it. But you are not rich enough to lose it and be fine. That is a unique kind of financial hell. Too much money to qualify for any help. Not enough money to stop worrying. Let me show you how Canada compares to other countries on this, because the rest of the world does not have this problem the same way. In Australia, the median household has roughly 38% of their wealth in real estate, very similar to Canada. But Australian households hold almost twice as much in cash and offset accounts directly linked to their mortgages, giving them massive liquidity. In the UK, pension assets are separate from housing wealth and are much more portable. A British household with a £400,000 house and £200,000 in a SIP, their version of an RRSP, actually feels wealthy. In the United States, the median 401(n) balance for Americans aged 55 to 64 is just $87,000. That is shockingly low. But here is the American secret. They think in terms of income, not net worth. An American with $500K in investable assets absolutely considers themselves upper middle class. But in Canada, we have been brainwashed by real estate. The average Canadian believes that owning a house is the same as being rich. And because so much of our wealth is frozen in housing, we have completely lost the ability to recognize actual liquid wealth when we see it. So let me describe the 5 types of Canadians who secretly have 500K. And feel nothing. Number 1, the aggressive renter. These are people who gave up on home ownership 5 or 10 years ago. Instead of a down payment, they threw everything into index funds and tech stocks. They have $400K in a TFSA, $150K in an RRSP. They rent a basement suite. They drive a 2016 Mazda. They look broke. They are quietly, boringly wealthy. Number 2, the pension buyback professional. Think nurses, teachers, public servants. They did a service buyback early in their career. Now they have a $700K commuted value in their pension, but they cannot touch it for years. So on paper, they are rich. In reality, they are still driving a Corolla and brown bagging lunch. Number 3, the late blooming entrepreneur. This is someone who sold a small business for $400K after taxes. Not a startup exit, just a plumbing company or a coffee shop. They put it all into a conservative portfolio. They still work part-time at Home Depot. Their friends have no idea. Number 4, the divorcee who kept the RRSP. Divorce is terrible, but sometimes it forces people to take financial control. A 49-year-old woman who kept $380K in her RRSP and $90K in cash after splitting assets. She looks like a single mom struggling to make rent. She is actually $500K rich and terrified. Number 5, the inheritor who has not told anyone. About 15% of Canadian households have received or expect to receive an inheritance over $250K. Many of them quietly park that money in a non-registered account. They tell no one. They still complain about the price of butter. All of these people have one thing in common. They do not feel rich because they are constantly comparing themselves to the wrong neighbor. They look at the person with the bigger house, the newer SUV, the cottage, and they forget that most of that is debt. Meanwhile, they themselves have no consumer debt, a paid-off car, a growing investment account, and zero ability to see it as success. So how do you actually become one of these quiet $500,000 Canadians? Without winning the lottery, without a miracle IPO, without selling your soul to real estate, I am going to give you 3 habits that the data shows actually work. They are not sexy, they are not fun, but they are real. Habit 1. Automate your savings before you see the money. The difference between someone with $500K and someone with $50K is almost never income. It is behavior. The $500K saver sets up a bi-weekly automatic transfer of $300 into their TFSA. Not when they remember, not at the end of the month. Automatically, the same day as their paycheck. Over 25 years at 6% returns, that $300 biweekly becomes over $1 million, not $500K, over $1 million. And you will never feel rich along the way. That is the point. Habit 2. Stop measuring wealth by your mortgage. Canadians are obsessed with how much equity they have in their house, and that is useless unless you plan to sell and move to rural Nova Scotia. Instead, measure your liquidity ratio, your liquid investable assets divided by your annual spending. If you spend $60,000 a year and you have $300K liquid, your ratio is 5. That means you could survive 5 years without working. That is real wealth. Most millionaires by home equity have a liquidity ratio under 1. They are 3 months from disaster. Habit 3, learn to be quietly rich. This is the hardest habit of all, because our culture punishes it. Your friends will ask why you are not buying a house. Your parents will ask why you are not upgrading your car. Your social media feed will show you other people's renovations. The quiet 500K Canadian ignores all of it. They live in the same apartment for 12 years. They drive the paid-off car. They take one reasonable vacation a year, and their investment account quietly compounds. When you hit 500K, no one throws you a parade. No one gives you a certificate. Your life looks exactly the same as it did at $200K. But underneath, something fundamental has changed. You can lose your job and not panic. You can help your parents without going into debt. You can take a 6-month sabbatical. You can walk away from a toxic boss. That is not a number on a screen. That is freedom. And that is why the question at the start of this video is so dangerous. How many Canadians secretly have 500K and don't feel rich? The answer is over 2 million. But the real answer is almost everyone who has it. Because the gap between having money and feeling wealthy is not about math. It is about expectations. We have been taught to believe that wealth looks like a mansion. In reality, wealth looks like a boring portfolio, a modest home, and the quiet confidence that you will be fine. So let me leave you with this. $500,000 will not make you feel rich, but it will make you free. And freedom is better than feeling rich. Because feeling rich is a comparison. Freedom is just a fact. If you want to be one of the 2 million Canadians who quietly holds that freedom, start today. Automate one transfer. Ignore one purchase. Measure differently. And the next time someone asks you if you are rich, just smile and say, I'm comfortable. Because comfortable is the real win. If this video made you think differently about your own numbers, hit subscribe. We talk about the wealth you can actually use, not the wealth that lives in the walls.